My beloved child, I am calling you. I know you've grown accustomed to burying yourself in routines, things that seem harmless, familiar paths that offer your mind a temporary sense of calm. But my beloved, that calm is only surface level, like a layer of mist covering a murky pool. Beneath that familiarity lies a path that is drifting away from the sacred destiny I wrote for you long before you were formed in your mother's womb. I know you believe you're walking the right way, simply because there are no obvious signs of failure. But that, my child, is the most dangerous thing of all. Normalcy without me. You are not walking entirely in darkness, but neither are you in the light. You are in that gray zone between two realms, where the soul is most easily deceived, where the enemy doesn't need to shout, only whisper. And he has whispered into your heart through subtle compromise with gentle lures saying everything is fine, while he quietly leads you away from the stream of grace. Child, stop. Not because I wish to control you, but because I love you enough to warn you when you're heading toward a place that could shatter the most precious parts of who you are. You wound yourself every time you pretend not to see what's wrong. Each time you ignore the nudging of the Holy Spirit, each time you soothe yourself with logic untested by my word, you dig yourself one step deeper into the pit of sin. I am not here to condemn you. I am calling you back. Not back to rigid religion, but back to me. Back to the quiet voice still waiting for you beneath all the noise. My beloved child, I see within you a weariness that has no name, a quiet confusion, as if you are moving but unsure why, or living but unsure what is truly worth living for. This is not because you are weak, but because you have been severed from the only source that can sustain your soul, my presence. That is why I must call you, right in the midst of your seemingly peaceful rhythm, which is in fact slowly dulling the spiritual sensitivity I once planted within you. Child, you were not born to blend in. I did not design you to live like everyone else, to follow what they follow, to choose what they choose and then call it peace. True peace is not found in avoiding conflict or clinging to artificial safety. True peace is found in standing firm in truth, even when that truth requires you to abandon what you once thought was right. True peace is walking head-on into the wind, yet your heart remains unmoved because you know I am beside you, and that sacred distinction is the very sign of the path I've marked for you. I know there are times when you think, surely it's fine, when you believe that keeping everything under control is enough. But oh, my precious child, that control is a weight you were never created to carry. You are not the keeper of time. You are not the guardian of destiny. I am. And every time you grasp for the reins, you pull yourself away from the very position where I could cover you fully. And because of this, I call you today, not to highlight your failures, but to lift you out of spiritual slumber, to draw you back from steps that have begun to drift from the radiant destiny I engraved for you. My beloved child, you still have time. You still have the chance to turn back, not with shame, but with the boldness of one who knows they are loved even after going the wrong way. You do not have to prove anything to me. I do not require your perfection to accept you. I only ask for your honesty. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with me. Stop for a moment. Examine the path you're walking and ask your heart, Am I truly walking by the leading of the Holy Spirit, or am I clinging to the familiar just to avoid my fears? My beloved, I have prepared a journey for you that no one else can walk. It is a path that may not be easy, but it is overflowing with meaning. It is not a road lined with applause, but one filled with whispers from heaven. It won't lead you to where human eyes admire, but it will take you to where my heart delights. But to reach that place, you must find the courage to step away from the counterfeit. You must be willing to release old habits, to say no to relationships that no longer align with your divine destiny, and to endure the pain that leads to healing. I know there are things you regret because you have invested time, emotions, and hope into them. But remember this, my dear one. A door that was never from me will never be an entryway to grace, and a person I did not send will never bring you true peace. No matter how familiar they feel, no matter how often they've spoken my name, if they don't draw you closer to me, then they are not meant to be part of the next chapter I am writing for your life. Listen closely, my child. These are not words of rebuke. This is the sound of a warning bell ringing from a heart that loves you more than life itself. My arms are wide open, not to accuse, but to lift you up. Not to drag you back into the past, but to lead you into a future filled with hope. You only need one thing: return. One nod of the heart. One whisper that says, "Lord, please lead me back." That is all it takes. I will do the rest. I will straighten your path, pull your foot out of every hidden snare, and bandage each invisible wound no one else has ever seen. My precious one, I see you running, moving so fast that you've forgotten the rhythm of your own soul. You're chasing after things that seem urgent, a chance, an affirmation, a door that looks like it might be from me, but in truth, it is not. You've thrown yourself forward with a heart full of longing, but in doing so, you've left behind the only thing that could ever satisfy that longing: my presence. Do you know this, my child? I never asked you to do so much just to be loved. Yet you keep striving to prove your worth as if you must add something more to deserve the love I've had for you since before the foundation of the world. You are so busy that even you can no longer hear your own heartbeat, let alone the heartbeat of mine calling for you. You've forgotten that I do not seek your performance as much as I seek your gaze. I do not wait for perfection. I wait for presence. But in this noisy world you inhabit, where everything demands you to move faster, reach farther, achieve more, you have unintentionally lost the most precious thing of all, the holy stillness where you can hear me calling your name, as gently as the first breath of dawn. My beloved child, when you do not sit at my feet, you become vulnerable to the deceptive whispers of this world. They will tell you that you are not enough, that you need to do more, become someone else in order to be accepted. But remember this: only at my feet will you hear the truth that you have already been chosen, the truth that you were priceless even before you did anything, and the truth that no accomplishment can ever replace a heart that lingers in my presence. I know there are things within you that you have not even been able to name: silent anxieties, formless fears, creeping doubts that slip in between your hesitant smiles. And that is why I long for you to stop. Because when you keep running, you cover up your wounds with activity. When you keep moving, you avoid facing the emptiness that has never truly been filled. And I, the one who loves you deeply, do not want you to go on this way. I do not blame you for trying, My heart only aches when I see you trying the wrong way, trying to be loved while I loved you before you ever knew how to love yourself, trying to hold it all together when I am the foundation that never shakes, trying to find your direction when I am the way. And you will never clearly see the path if you keep running, keep striving, and keep allowing the noise to drown out the whisper of life. My beloved, come closer. Sit down, not to prove anything, but simply to be. You don't need to bring anything when you come to me. All I ask for is your honest heart. Let go of your to-do lists. Lay down the burden of expectations. Pause in the middle of your journey and simply remain. Remain in me. Remain in love. Remain in the unchanging truth that you are loved, not for what you do, but for who you are in my eyes. Do you know this? The greatest things in my kingdom never begin with action. They begin with surrender. Miracles are not born out of hurry, but out of silence. Moments when your soul connects so deeply with me that the world cannot interfere. It is in that stillness where I place new promises into your heart. It is in that rest where I mend the pieces you thought were broken beyond repair. Beloved child, the world may teach you that those who run fastest will arrive first, but in my kingdom, it is the ones who know how to stop and listen who go the furthest. You don't have to prove yourself with speed, but with depth, with quiet maturity, with obedience even when no one sees, with unshakable faith even when the promise seems delayed. That is the path that leads to the divine destiny I have reserved for you. I know you are tired, not just in your body, but in your soul. You feel as though you have to hold everything together, as if the world would collapse if you let go. But, my child, what you haven't realized is this: I am the one holding it all. And when you dare to sit down, to release your grip on things that were never yours to carry, you will discover a precious truth. I have never let anything fall outside the reach of my hand. So today I am not calling you to do more. I am calling you to do less, to live deeper, to listen more intently, to love more purely, and to remember that the most valuable part of your relationship with me is not what you bring, it is simply you. Not what you do, but the presence you carry. I do not need a busy person. I desire a living soul. A soul brave enough to sit when the world tells you to keep moving. My beloved child, come back, not with trumpets or loud declarations, just with a sigh, a tear, a whisper. Father, here I am, and I will do the rest. I will lift you out of the meaningless motion. I will heal your soul with my gentle presence, and I will lead you back to the forgotten path. A path without hurry, without comparison, without weariness, only filled with unwavering love and the unfailing guidance of your God. My beloved child, I have been watching you in silence, not because I am indifferent, but because I have been waiting for you to acknowledge what you yourself have been trying to ignore. There have been moments when you came to me with your lips, yet your heart wandered down separate paths. Paths where your own wisdom became the lamp to your feet, instead of the light of my word. You drew your own maps, set your own destinations, and decided your own timelines according to your plans, while I, the one who holds all ages and destinies, stood at the margins, waiting for you to invite me in. You have relied on your understanding as if it could replace revelation from heaven. You have leaned on your experiences, on the advice of others, on what you can see and control. But, my child, where is your peace in all of this? I see the turmoil in your heart when the plans you so carefully crafted unravel, when those you trusted fall short, and when all your efforts seem to vanish like smoke. I see your disappointment and weariness, not because I have abandoned you, but because you have chosen a path where I am not walking with you. My beloved, your exhaustion does not come from what I have asked of you, but from the burdens you have placed upon yourself. You say you surrender, yet your hands never leave the wheel. You pray for me to lead you, but then you reroute the course according to what feels reasonable. You sing about trust, but your heart still trembles when the future becomes unpredictable. And I understand. I know that true faith is not easily born, but I also know this. As long as you continue walking with a divided heart, you will never fully experience the covering and blessings I have prepared for you. Trust, my child, is not a fleeting feeling when things go your way. It is a choice, a daily decision to place me above your understanding. It is the courage to walk into the unknown and still stand firm, knowing I go before you. You cannot cling to your plan and still expect mine to unfold. The two cannot coexist. One must be laid down for the other to bloom. And this is why I am calling you into a deeper level of faith, where your understanding must step aside so that you may receive wisdom from heaven. I know you have been hurt. Perhaps you trusted me once, but the outcome was not what you had hoped for, and since then you've chosen to only half believe. I do not blame you. I only long to heal that part of you, the part that still doubts, the part that was disappointed, the part that has quietly shut the door on full surrender. Beloved, as long as you insist on control, you will only gather temporary and limited results. But if you dare to let go, if you dare to place everything in my hands with no conditions, you will enter a kind of freedom you've never tasted before. The freedom of one who knows they are unconditionally loved, divinely guided, and relentlessly covered by unchanging mercy. So think again, my child, about the burdens you are carrying. How many of them did I actually assign to you? And how many did you pick up yourself? Do you remember that I said my yoke is easy and my burden is light? Then why are you so heavy laden? Why must you strain to maintain every relationship, to control every outcome, to plan every detail of things I have already promised to handle for you? I do not want to see you crumble under the weight of things I never meant for you to carry. I want to see you free. Free to love. Free to believe. Free to live without fear of the unknown. Because you are walking with the one who knows it all, my beloved child. True surrender is not a one-time act. It is a continuous series of small yet meaningful steps. It is when you choose silence over reaction. It is when you choose to wait rather than to rush ahead. It is when you choose prayer over anxiety. And in each of those quiet choices, you are building a faith stronger than stone, a faith unshaken by circumstances, unwavering in the face of emotions, and unbroken by what has yet to come. That faith will become your foundation, the very ground upon which you will stand firm, even when the fiercest storm blows. My child, I am not looking for perfect obedience. I long for a willing heart, a heart ready to let go of what it cannot understand in order to take hold of what I speak, a heart ready to say, Amen, even before seeing anything in its hands. A heart ready to follow the voice from heaven rather than the voice of comfort. And I promise you this, if you place your full trust in me, you will never be put to shame. I will guide you step by step through every corner of the path, and nothing, not even past mistakes, will be able to block the blessings I have ordained for you. My beloved, choose again today. Let me be your only compass. Let my spirit be the loudest voice you follow. Let my word be the sole standard by which you make your decisions, and let my love be the place where your soul rests, regardless of how the world outside may change. When you do that, you will witness fatigue melt away, confusion replaced with clarity, and danger repelled by divine protection. For I am your God, not only the one who knows exactly where you are, but the one who knows exactly where you are meant to be. And I will not stop halfway. I will complete the good work I have begun in you. If you will step aside and let me hold your hand, you will not only be led, you will be restored, you will be taught, you will grow, and you will shine as a light to this lost generation. And, my child, what I want most is not what you can do for me. What I long for is your heart. A heart undivided, a faith not built on understanding, but on relationship. A love that is pure, unconditional, and unshakable. Give me that today, my beloved, and I will give you everything you truly need, not just what you think you want, but what I know you cannot live without. For I am your Father, the only one who never goes back on his promises. My beloved child, I see you. I see you in those moments no one else notices. When you sit quietly, sighing with a heaviness that words cannot express. I see the hurried rhythm of your heart, trying to keep pace with the expectations you've placed upon yourself. Expectations from society, from family, and from within. I hear the unspoken cry of your soul. If I don't do better, if I don't reach higher, will I still be loved? And it breaks my heart, my precious one, because I have never asked you to carry such a weight. You are exhausted, not because I asked that of you, but because you are trying to control what belongs to me. You are striving to shape the outcomes, to arrange the timing, to shield yourself from what might hurt. You are clinging to the past as if it could give you answers, and fearing the future as though you are the author of your own destiny. But in all that striving, you have forgotten. I am the one who holds all things. You were not created to carry everything. You were created to live in trust and rest. Let me carry what you were never meant to bear. Let me be the keeper of your tomorrow and the healer of your yesterday. Trust me with the pieces you cannot hold together. Rest in me, not just when you're strong, but especially when you feel like falling apart. For I am still the same God who called you by name, and I will never stop pursuing your heart with everlasting love. My beloved child, I see the heaviness in your soul. It does not come from your work nor from others. It stems from the conflict within you. On one hand, you long to surrender to me. On the other, you still fear that letting go means losing everything. You believe that if you don't keep striving, if you don't hold it all together, everything will collapse. But my child, have you forgotten? I am the one who laid the firm foundation beneath your feet. I am the one who holds every door, every opportunity, every meaningful connection in my hands. Nothing you release for my sake will ever be lost forever. In fact, whatever you cling to outside of my will eventually become the very burden that brings you down. You are searching for your worth in places that cannot offer you an eternal identity. I see you trying to define yourself by your success, by the approval of others, by your appearance, your status, your reputation. But, my beloved, all of these things change. Today they may applaud, tomorrow they may turn away. Today you may be celebrated, tomorrow someone else takes your place. And if your identity is rooted in what shifts and fades, your soul will tremble every time the winds of life change direction. You were not created to be a slave to the perceptions of man. You were formed in my image, the image of the unchanging one. And it is only in me that you will find the true roots of who you are. Not in what you do, but in who you are. Not in the gaze of the world, but in the loving eyes of your Creator. I do not love you because you are accomplished, beautiful, or impressive. I love you because you are mine, and that love does not increase when you succeed, nor does it diminish when you fall. My child, pause for a moment. Sit down and reflect on what you are pursuing. Are they truly the desires I placed in your heart? Or are they things you chase out of fear of being left behind? Are you seeking approval in places I never called you to enter? Are you exhausting yourself trying to please everyone, while forgetting that I am the only one whose delight truly matters? Are you weary from trying to prove your worth, when I already called you chosen before you even knew how to speak? Satisfaction is not found in what you have, but in where you belong. And you belong to me. Not partly, not temporarily, but wholly and eternally. When you remain in me, nothing can move you away from this love. But when you drift from me to seek security elsewhere, you will always thirst for something that never satisfies. I did not create you to live with a soul eroded by pressure, a heart hardened by comparison, or a mind trapped in cycles of needless control. I want you to rest, to breathe, to live. Not to live for recognition, but to live because you have been loved from the very beginning. Not to climb higher, but to walk steadily, one step at a time with me. You do not need to fight for a place in my heart. You are already there. No one can take your place. No mistake can make me walk away. And no achievement can make me love you more. I loved you on your worst day, and I will still love you on your brightest. You don't need to keep striving. Just come. Step into my presence. Step into the rest I have prepared for you long ago, and there I will remind you of who you truly are. I will wipe away the tears you never dared to shed before others. I will remove the masks you've worn to seem strong. I will lift off the burdens that were never yours to carry. And I will return to you a tender heart, a free spirit, and an unshakable identity, where you don't need to earn love, because you already are a love. My beloved child, let me be the one who defines you. Do not let the world tell you who you are. Do not allow your past to determine what you deserve, and do not let weariness blur the clarity of the promises I have spoken over your life. Come back. You don't need to be polished or impressive, just real. Just one honest whisper. Lord, I can't go on like this. And I will come. I will lift you from the ruins of your expectations, from the trap of comparison, from the chains of control, because I did not call you to live with strain and striving. I called you to live lightly, to learn that my grace is sufficient for you, that you are not the one holding the world together, and that in my hands everything will be arranged in its perfect time, in its perfect way, for its perfect purpose. Nothing you are leaning on right now, human approval, temporary success, reputation, or appearances, can sustain you when the spiritual storms come. No applause will shelter your soul when the dust of life rises and puts your faith to the test. When the winds scatter what you built by your own strength, you will realize, I alone am the unshakable foundation. I alone can keep you standing when all else crumbles. I see what your eyes cannot yet see. Movements are taking place in the unseen, in the spiritual realm beyond your senses. A new season of testing is approaching. A purification is beginning. And all that is not rooted in me will be shaken, so that only what is real, sacred, and enduring through time and trial will remain. That is why I am calling you today. Not to scare you, but to prepare you. Not to make you regret, but to bring you back to where you once belonged, back to the first love that nothing on this earth can replace. Do you remember those early days when your heart was still tender, when your eyes looked up to me for no reason other than love, when your prayers were not filled with requests, but with a simple cry, Father, I need you. I remember the whispers through your tears, the heartfelt gratitude when you held nothing in your hands. I remember the way you knelt in the corner of your room, not to ask for anything, but simply because you knew that I was enough. But now, you only come when all your plans fall apart, when those you trusted have left, when every effort has drained your soul, when your heart is so entangled that there's no other way but to return. And even though my arms are still open, even though I receive you with the same love as in the beginning, my heart longs for something deeper, not because I am selfish, but because I know only when I become your first priority will you truly live in fullness. Only when I am your sole source will you stop wandering in confusion. I do not want to be your last resort after every door has closed. I want to be your first thought when you open your eyes, the hope you cling to at the start of each day, the first breath of your soul before anything else reaches you. I want to be the one you seek, not because you've run out of options, but because you've come to know that no other place holds life but in me. I am not waiting for perfect loyalty. I long for an honest heart, a love not based on circumstances, but rooted in daily choice, a faith not as a final reaction, but as a first instinct. Beloved, that simplicity is still in you. It's just been buried beneath the dust of life, the dust of responsibility, of expectations, of fear of failure, of dreams you tried to fulfill without ever asking if I was going with you. But today I say to you, let me cleanse it. Let me blow away that dust so you can return to your truest self, the one I created, unfiltered, unburdened, untainted by the pressure to become what the world calls successful. Come back, child, not to religion, not to performance, but to relationship. Let me show you again who you are in my eyes. Let me anchor you in something eternal, so when the winds return, you will not be moved. Let me breathe new life into your spirit, and awaken the wonder that once made your soul sing. You have not lost it forever. I am the God who restores. I am the one who makes all things new, and I am calling you by name. To my beloved child, remember this. You don't have to wait until your heart is shattered to come back. You don't need to wait until there's no one left to cling to before you seek me. I am still here, day after day, hour after hour, quietly standing in the place you often pass by without even a glance. I am not angry because you forgot me, but I ache. I long for you, not because I am lacking without you, but because I know you will lack everything without me. You can go far, even reach the heights this world chases after, but without me, you will still feel empty. For no one and nothing can take my place in your heart. My beloved, let me be the center once again. Let me be the breath within your silence, the reason you rise each day, the joy behind your smile, even when no one else understands why. I won't promise you a life without storms, but I do promise that I will be there in the midst of them. I will be your fortress, your steady refuge when everything else shakes and shifts. And you will never have to face the darkness alone, for my light will go before you, and my mercy will follow you, step by step. Child, don't wait until it's too late. Don't wait until the winds rip apart everything you've worked so hard to hold together. Come back while your heart can still be softened, while I am still calling you in a gentle whisper, while the door remains wide open, waiting, not for your shame or guilt, but for your courage and your longing to begin again. That first love still lives inside of you, even if it has faded under the weight of passing years. Let me reignite it. Let me touch the places so deep you've been afraid to admit they even exist. Let me lift you from the darkness of logic and control and teach you once more how to fly on wings of faith, pure and childlike. My dear one, I'm not looking for a perfect resume. I'm looking for a sincere heart, a heart that longs to be close to its Father, a soul that is done running, that simply wants to rest in the arms of the one who has loved it since the beginning of time. And if you return, I will not interrogate you about where you've been, what you've done, or why it took you so long. I will only wrap you in my embrace and whisper, "You've come home," and that is enough. Because to me, nothing is more precious than seeing you return. Not with grand gestures or elaborate plans, but simply with these words, "I miss you." And I, the one who has never forgotten you, not for a single second, will make all things new once again. My beloved child, I did not create you just so you would seek me only in your moments of collapse, in the tears that fall unnoticed in the night, or when the world becomes too heavy for your shoulders to bear. My desire for you goes far beyond that. I long for something deeper, a true relationship, not just occasional visits. I want to walk with you daily, as a close companion, as a child who doesn't cry out for the Father only in trouble, but draws near because of love, because of a yearning for closeness, because life feels incomplete without me. There is a place I've prepared just for souls who choose me fully, a place untouched by noise and confusion, free from the clashing voices of this world. There you will find holy stillness, a peace that surpasses all understanding, and a joy that is not born from external circumstances, but flows from my presence alone. It is not a fragile peace dependent on how well life is going. It is a peace that pours from an eternal spring, never drying up, never shaken by the chaos around you. Let me lead you there. Let me bring your soul back to its true home. You were made not for constant striving, but for communion with me, and I am here, always, still waiting, still loving, still calling you back, into the arms of grace, into the fullness of life. Only I can give. But for you to enter that sacred place, you must choose to walk away from the crowd. You must dare to turn your back on the noise the world keeps planting in your heart. The voices of fear, of comparison, of invisible expectations. You must be willing to cut off the endless flow of information that floods your mind daily, leaving you exhausted without knowing why. The videos, the emotionally charged headlines, the images that make you question your worth, all of these are quietly stealing the most precious thing from you, your focus on me. My beloved, what you set your eyes upon, what you allow to fill your mind, these are the very things shaping your soul each day. If your spirit is constantly being pulled by the call of screens, by comments, by the hunger for outside affirmation, how will you ever clearly hear my voice? How will you discern truth from falsehood when your soul is weary from being buried under so many conflicting voices? I long to have all of you, not just a portion during worship, not just a few rushed minutes of prayer, but all of you. When you wake, when you lie down, I want you to come to me not merely because you need help, but because you long to be near. Not because my presence is a must-go place in a crisis, but because it is your want-to-be place in every moment of life. You have no idea how profoundly your life will shift until you choose me. My child, there are revelations I only unveil in stillness. There are healings I perform only when you're willing to sit quietly with me, doing nothing, asking nothing, demanding nothing, just being, because it is in that sacred stillness that your soul opens like a door, and my spirit enters gently, seeping into every crack, every dry place, every hidden corner no one else has ever seen. And right there, in the depths, I pour into you something the world cannot buy: inner wholeness. True joy is not a fleeting emotion that comes after success. It is a sacred state born from knowing you are in the right place, within my will, in my arms, under a protection no force can penetrate. But you can only enter that place if you choose to separate yourself from the noise, from the frantic pace of life, from the habit of always updating, always responding, always proving. I don't need you to prove anything. I just want you to be present. My precious one, I know the line between what's necessary and what's merely distracting grows blurrier by the day. I know this world constantly pulls you into an invisible race, a race of productivity, image, and rapid success. But you were not created to live that way. You were made to live deeply, slowly, authentically. And only in me will you rediscover who you truly are. Not the persona shaped by social media, but the original design, inscribed in heaven. I do not condemn you for getting caught in these things. I understand you are human, living in an era full of temptations. But it is precisely because I love you that I cannot stand by and watch you lose your peace to things unworthy of your attention. I cannot remain silent as I see you gradually give away your focus, minute by minute, hour by hour, to what is fleeting, while I, the source of eternal life, stand beside you, waiting for your return. Choose me, not only in your words, but in your daily choices. Start by silencing the unnecessary noise to make room for the gentle whisper of my spirit. Withdraw from the crowds to step into the secret place where I wait. Stop seeking affirmation from the world and begin seeking the clear voice from heaven. You'll be surprised to discover the things you once thought were important cannot hold you for long, but one single moment in my presence can change your entire being forever. And then you will see there is nothing more valuable than walking with me. No emotion is sweeter than knowing I am right beside you, never leaving you for even a second. No safety is more secure than the love I have for you, a love that asks for nothing, that comes with no conditions, and that never changes. I do not promise to remove every challenge, but I do promise to walk with you through each and every step. And on that path, though there may be times when the way is rough and uncertain, you will never again be alone. Because you will know deep within, you are no longer living by yourself, but you are living with me. My beloved child, you say you long for peace, yet each morning when you awaken, instead of immersing yourself in my presence, you rush headlong into news headlines, worries and racing thoughts that drain your soul, and you don't even realize it. You seek stability, yet you sow seeds of anxiety into your heart. From what you read, from conversations laced with doubt, from conclusions you draw when I am not at the center of your discernment, you claim you want clarity, yet you throw yourself into the swirling sea of distracting voices, conflicting opinions, and quiet fears that rise from past wounds still unhealed. You come to me, but only in fleeting moments, when you have nowhere else to cling to. You seek me when the night falls, when sleep won't come, when your heart is tangled with no way out. But then, when the light returns, when the storm calms, you slip back into your old rhythms. You slip back into your old rhythms. You forget that I am not just a shelter, I am your home. I am not merely a lifeline in the storm, I am the everlasting ocean you were invited to live in, to swim in, to merge with, every single day. Still, I remain here. I have never turned my face away. I have never grown weary of your inconsistency. I am not like people who measure love by performance or frequency. I love you simply because you are mine, not because you've done well, not because you've remembered me often or seldom. I do not love you seasonally or according to the rise and fall of your emotions. My love is a continuous current, a sacred river that never dries up, no matter how long your heart has been absent. I see the struggle in your mind. I know there are nights when you lie still, eyes wide open in the dark, not crying aloud, but your heart quietly breaking. I hear the sighs you yourself cannot explain, and I am not silent about those things. I am still speaking to you, even through a gentle breeze, a sudden tear, or a worship song that plays at just the right moment. I whisper through seemingly random conversations, through the eyes of a stranger, or even in the very emptiness you feel when all other noise subsides. My voice has never stopped. It's just that sometimes you are too busy to hear, or your heart is so full of other things there's no room left to perceive. But still, I speak, because I cannot remain silent toward the one I love. Do you not know? I am not disappointed in your wavering. I simply long for you to pause long enough to realize you don't have to live this way anymore. You don't need to continue in this internal divide. One part of you longing for peace, the other nurturing tension. One part reaching for me, the other pulled away by distraction. You were not created to live in such You were created to live united, a whole heart devoted to me, a spirit clearly directed by truth, a life refreshed daily by my presence. My beloved child, be courageous enough to examine what your heart has been drawn to. Ask yourself, how many of these things truly bring life? How many of them draw you closer to me? Or do they only leave you more weary? I did not call you to do more, to strive harder, to prove your worth. I called you to stay, to lay everything down, to learn how to live lightly, to live in grace, to live as a true child who understands they are loved, not because of what they do, but because of who they belong to. You do not need to wait for life to become quiet before coming to me. It is my presence that creates the stillness, even in the midst of chaos. But you must choose. You must choose me every day, not once a week, not once in crisis, but every morning when you open your eyes, every noon when you feel tired, every night when darkness surrounds you. You must choose me over the noise, over the fear, over the voices of the world. And when you choose me, I will draw you into a deeper realm, a place where there is no instability, no comparison, no sense of lack, only wholeness in me. I have seen you, time and again, trying to fix yourself before coming close to me. But, my dear one, that is not necessary. I do not wait for your perfection. I wait for your honesty. I do not require you to approach me when everything is in order. I long for you to come to me when everything is in order. I long for you to come to me when everything is messy, broken, and unfinished. For I am not a prize for the flawless. I am a refuge for the weary soul. I am healing, not the epilogue. I am a companion, not an evaluator. Come to me as you are. Do not pretend. Do not hide. Do not utter lofty words if your heart is in turmoil. Speak truthfully. Cry if you need to. Be silent if you do not know what to say. I read every beat of your heart, and there is nothing in you that could ever make me give up on you. Even when you forget me, I have never forgotten you. Even when you turn away, I am still standing there. At the intersection of your return, waiting for you to come home. I see every step you take, every path you choose. I see when you mask your pain with a smile. I see when you say I'm fine but feel empty inside. And still, I love you. Not partially, not if only, but wholly, eternally, unconditionally. My precious child, today I am still speaking, not through thunder, but through a whisper deep within. Come back. Let your heart grow quiet enough to hear it. Let me be the first one you seek, not the last one you remember. Let me be your beginning, not your afterthought. And when you truly place me first, everything else will find its rightful place. Peace will no longer be a longing, it will become your reality. Joy will no longer visit and leave, it will become your nature. And love, true love, will become the root of everything you do. My beloved, there is something quiet, yet more powerful than you realize, that has been influencing your every step. Fear. It has crept into your smallest decisions, cloaking itself behind justifications you've come to believe are reasonable. You call it caution. You dress it in the name of responsibility. Sometimes you even convince yourself that it is wisdom born of experience. But my child, I am the one who searches hearts. I see clearly the essence of what binds you. It is not wisdom from above. It is fear in disguise. That fear does not come from me, for I, the one who called you to walk in the light, never plant confusion, hesitation, or feelings of inferiority in your soul. I have not given you a timid spirit, nor a soul that lives in constant speculation and restraint. On the contrary, I have placed within you a spirit of power, a heart born from love, nurtured in truth, and shielded by my unshakable peace. But when you let fear take the place of trust, you begin to lose the right perspective of both who you are and who I am. Beloved child, I see you caught at the crossroads of life. I see you standing there, heart pounding, mind racing, afraid that one wrong choice could cost you something precious. You fear that if you're not careful enough, pain will follow. You fear that if others see your weakness, they will walk away. You fear that if you cannot control the outcome, your life will spiral out of direction. But child, that fear does not lead you to life. It leads you into a narrow place where joy is suffocated, trust is stolen, and the wings of faith are bound tightly by the burden of needing to be in control. I have seen you retreat when you were meant to step forward. I have seen your silence when you were meant to speak. I have seen you back away from doors I've already opened, simply because you couldn't see clearly what lies beyond them. You've forgotten that I don't require you to see everything. I only ask you to believe. But when you choose false safety over bold trust, you allow fear to become your guide, and no matter how well disguised it may be, that fear never comes from me. Child, you do not need to control the outcome in order to have peace. You do not need to get everything right to be worthy of love. You do not need to prove yourself before me, because my love for you has never been revoked, not even once, not even in your mistakes. What I ask is trust. Trust that if I have called you, I will not abandon you halfway. Trust that if I have begun a good work in you, I will bring it to completion, even if your natural eyes cannot yet see its fulfillment. Fear causes you to overthink, as if the weight of the entire world rests on your shoulders. It compels you to ask, is this safe? Is that certain? Not from wisdom, but from worry. It makes you slow down, not from discernment, but from doubt. It drives you to measure your worth by what you can control, what you can achieve, or what you can keep. But child, your true worth does not lie in control, but in surrender, not in what you accomplish, but in the one to whom you belong. You are not a victim of your circumstances. You are not a fragile child who must hide behind logic. You are an heir of my kingdom. You were created to live by faith, to walk with your head held high, not out of pride, but because you know your heavenly Father has destined you for a purpose far greater than anything you've ever dared to dream. And you will never step into that destiny if you keep letting fear frame your life into something merely sufficient, safe, yet hollow at the deepest part of your soul. My beloved, have the courage to face that fear. Call it by its name. Strip away the disguise you've been using to protect it for far too long. Stop holding onto it as a survival tool. Lay it down at my feet. And let me teach you a new way of living. A way not ruled by fear but led by love. A love that doesn't require you to know everything. A love that doesn't demand you to be strong all the time. A love that doesn't make your value dependent on success. That love is mine, and it is more than enough to drive out every fear. I do not promise that you will never feel anxious again. But I do promise this. If you choose to place me above every other voice, I will remind you again and again that you are not walking alone. You are surrounded by my presence, upheld by my unfailing mercy, and walking within a plan that is exceedingly good, far beyond what your mind could comprehend. My beloved child, I do not corner you into darkness to force you to choose me. I do not wield power or punishment to compel your surrender. My love does not come clothed in coercion. Yet, my child, there is an urgency in my voice today. An urgency that flows not from my lack of you, but from the anguish in my heart. Because I know what awaits if you continue to delay. I am calling to you, not as a tyrant, but as a loving father who sees his child entangled in invisible chains. I am calling you, not to win a battle of wills, but to rescue you from a spiritual slumber the enemy has carefully woven around you with alluring whispers. Listen closely, my child. Delayed obedience is never neutral. Every time you choose to set aside my word, you yield greater control to forces that do not come from me. Each time you say, "Not now," another brick is laid in the wall separating your heart from my presence. Every step you take backward, whether out of fear, compromise, or hesitation, weaves another chain, at first light and barely noticeable, but over days and months those threads entwine until you wake to find yourself bound by the very things you once thought harmless. I do not rush you with time, but I do not ignore divine timing either. There are seasons I have appointed for transformation, for breakthrough, for spiritual shifting that cannot be postponed. When you step out of those seasons, the door you assumed would always remain open begins to close. Not because I shut it in anger, but because holy opportunities have an expiration, and you cannot enter a new season still wearing the garment of hesitation. I call to you today, not to instill fear, but to awaken clarity. Delayed obedience is the shortest path to unwanted captivity. My child, I know the reasons you've whispered to your own heart. I've seen how you've comforted yourself with "just a little longer," or "I'm not ready yet," or "let me understand more first." But obedience does not wait for full understanding. Obedience is the fruit of trust. And in waiting for clarity, you have missed much that I prepared for you. You allowed the illusion of safety to drown out the call. You let the fear of being hurt again cause you to withdraw from the very word I entrusted to you. My child, prison is not always built of brick and stone. Some prisons are forged in subtle compromises, in the silent agreements your soul has made without realizing. Each time you cling to what I asked you to release, each time you turn away when I said go, each time you choose convenience over holiness, you fortify that prison. Don't confuse temporary calm for lasting peace. There are false comforts that are nothing more than the hush of a soul numbed beneath the soft blanket of delay, I do not pressure you, but I plead with you from the depths of my love, because I see what you do not. I hear the approaching footsteps of what draws near. I see the enemy's plans being finalized in secret, poised to strike when you're at your weakest. And if you do not step out soon from the land of indecision, that very place will become a battlefield that breaks you. Not because I will it, but because you lingered too long where you were never meant to remain. Oh, my beloved child, I am still holding the door open, but the door is not eternal. It does not shut in wrath, but it will close when the time has passed. And I do not want you standing in regret before a closed door, wondering what might have been if you had obeyed sooner. I want you to seize this moment, right now, while your heart is still tender, still able to hear my voice, still stirred by the gentle prompting in your spirit. For when you delay, it is not my voice that fades, it is your heart that can grow calloused to the point where you no longer wish to hear Gwei at all. My child, do not live another day, trapped in the cycle between desire and fear. Do not continue pacing the borderland between almost and daring to step. I have already called you to cross that threshold, not with haste, but with a meaningful step of obedience. Obedience not because you understand everything, but because you trust that I am faithful. Obedience not because you feel sufficient, but because I am the one who fulfills what I have spoken, my beloved one. If only you could see how many chains have bound you. You might weep, but if you also knew how willing I am to shatter them all in a single moment of your obedience, you might break into praise. Freedom is not found in feelings, but in a decision. And that decision stands before you today. I do not require an explanation. I do not demand perfection. I only need your yes. One simple response. Yes, Lord, and I will take care of the rest. I will unchain you. I will demolish the prison that holds your spirit. I will destroy every compromise that has weighed upon your soul. And I will lead you out of the shadows of hesitation into the light of divine movement, where your past no longer holds you back, where fear no longer clouds your sight, and where delay no longer binds your steps. For I am the God of life, of freedom, and of journeys uninterrupted. And today I am calling you not with a whip, but with the voice of love, with a desperate whisper. Delay no longer. The time has come. Step in. I am waiting for you, and what I have prepared will far exceed anything you've ever believed yourself worthy of. Because in me, you are not the bound. You are the chosen. And now is the moment to live as one truly chosen. My beloved child, you say you are seeking clarity. You pray for me to guide you, but your soul is being pulled in opposite directions. You ask questions, yet silently hold on to the answers you wish to hear. You open your mouth to pray for wisdom from heaven, but lean on understanding shaped by past experiences, fleeting emotions, or the advice of others not tested by my light. This divided loyalty is what fractures your heart. One part longing for direction, the other quietly craving control. My word, dear child, cannot dwell in a heart where self still sits upon the throne. I cannot sow truth into soil where your own will is idolized. You cannot truly hear my voice if your heart is already tilted toward a conclusion. And though I am almighty, I will not impose my will upon a soul that is not truly ready to surrender control. You may say you need confirmation from me, but if you are not prepared to receive an answer that differs from your expectations, then you are not truly seeking truth, you are seeking agreement. Child, Pride does not always wear an arrogant face. Sometimes it hides behind piety, behind fervent prayers, behind acts that appear devoted. But when deep within you still cling to the power to choose, when you still believe you know best, pride is quietly ruling. And not only does it choke my voice, it also veers you off the path I designed for you from the beginning. Beloved child, I do not say this to rebuke you, but to awaken you, to pierce through the fog that has blurred your spiritual vision. I know that some of the desires within you are genuine, good, and birthed from a sincere heart. But what is good is not always what I have chosen. And sometimes I will allow you to walk through seasons where I do not respond immediately. Not because I am silent, but because I am waiting for your heart to be truly ready, ready to listen, ready to trust, and most importantly, ready to obey. Even when what I say doesn't align with what you had hoped, let me refine the desires within your heart. Let me purify what you have assumed to be necessary, so you might recognize that many of those things are simply extensions of past fears or lingering feelings of lack. I am not trying to take good things away from you, dear one. On the contrary, I am trying to exchange them for better things. Things that will not decay over time, that will not shift with emotions, and that do not rely on circumstances to hold their worth. I am inviting you into a deeper dimension, where faith is no longer anchored in gain or loss, but firmly rooted in unshakable trust in the one who leads you. This is a place where desires are no longer driven by personal ambition, but by a yearning to be one with my will. It is a place where prayer ceases to be a list of requests and instead becomes a sincere surrender. Let your will be done, not mine. Beloved, examine your heart. Are the dreams you're chasing, the things you're hoping for, truly from me? Or were they born from a quiet, unnamed fear? The fear of not being enough, not being loved, not being remembered. Let me uncover those hidden layers you've never dared to open. I did not come to destroy your dreams, but to enlarge them. I did not come to extinguish the fire within you, but to refine it, until it burns with a flame no wind of this world can put out. Do you not know? The eternal gifts I long to give you are not like the fleeting promises of this world. You may reach a door, a relationship, an opportunity that seems wonderful, but if it was not birthed from my presence, it will eventually exhaust you, for you will have to sustain it with your own strength. But when something comes from me, I myself will sustain it alongside you, and peace, true, unmistakable peace, will be the clearest evidence of that. So instead of asking me to do this for you, ask me for something greater. Ask me to transform you. Ask me to mold your heart to align with my will. Ask me to prune every desire that is not holy, so that you are no longer led by things unworthy of the divine destiny I have prepared for you. What I want to give you is not just a thing, it is a new being, a new you. The version of you I saw before I even placed you in your mother's womb. That version of you carries the stability of heaven, wisdom from above, and a faith that cannot be shaken by earthly seasons. My beloved, let go of what you've been clutching so tightly. Do not fear loss, for there is nothing you surrender to me that I will not return to you in multiplied form. More beautiful, more profound, and perfectly timed. Let me be the center, not just an added piece. Let me reshape everything, from what you think you want to what you assumed you needed. And along that journey, you will receive not just clarity, but freedom, not just answers, but healing, not just outcomes, but a restoration your soul could never find in anything else. I am waiting for you, not to change your situation first, but to change you within the situation. And then, from that renewed place within your heart, you will see everything else begin to shift. Not because you've tried hard enough, but because I have intervened deeply enough, long enough, and truthfully enough. So let your heart be still. Lay your desires at my feet, not to abandon them, but so that I may touch them with the hand of eternal life, and you will see what you once thought was loss is in fact the beginning of a divine exchange. What I give you will not merely satisfy, it will carry the mark of the everlasting. For whatever comes from me carries me within it, and whatever carries me cannot be shaken, not by man, not by season, not by darkness. Let that begin today, my beloved. Let me reshape what you thought was already clear and lead you into a clarity far deeper. A clarity that does not come from what is seen, but from the light of my living presence within your heart. And it is in that place where you will truly know what you've been given is not just a right plan, but a right life. A life molded by the Father's hand, breathing with the breath of the Holy Spirit, and walking daily in unshakable obedience. Listen to the whisper. I am pouring into the most hidden place of your soul, the place no one else can reach, the place where only you and I reside. For the days you are living in are not gentle days. The spiritual atmosphere is dense, the veil of deception is spread far and wide, and many souls are wandering not because they have never heard of me, but because they never learned how to stand firm in me. They are swept away, not due to a lack of faith, but because that faith was never rooted deeply in my word. And it grieves my heart to see people fall, not in the midst of violent storms, but under the weight of gentle yet deadly doubts that slowly erode their faith from within. Do not let that be your story. Do not let your soul be drawn into the whirlwind of chaos that is sweeping across this world. Set your foundation firmly upon the rock that cannot be moved, upon me, not upon the sweet promises of man, not upon the fleeting wisdom of this age, not upon emotion or moments of fleeting excitement, but upon the living word that never changes, never loses its power, and never ceases to move the hearts of those who dare to hold it with undivided trust. My beloved, building your house upon the rock is not a poetic metaphor. It is a survival principle in an age of collapse. You cannot build your life on the sand of public opinion, or on the approval of man, or on goals shaped by societal pressure. Those things will wash away when the storm comes. And the storm is coming, not to frighten you, but to awaken you. For anything not established in truth will crumble in the testing season, and the more painful reality is this: what falls, if not restored by me, may leave consequences not only in the present, but rippling into eternity. Let my word become the foundation of your life, not merely verses you can recite, but truths you live each day. Let me be the place from which you draw every decision. Let me be the one you seek before you act, and the final voice you heed after every internal battle. Not because I need to control you, but because I long to cover you. Because I know this: when the winds of confusion begin to blow, only the soul rooted in me will remain unmoved. You are not like the others, not because you are better, but because you have been set apart. You carry a calling that cannot be traded for fame, for position, or for applause. That calling did not originate in the hands of men, nor was it built upon a social foundation, nor is it a title to hang on a wall. It is a holy purpose written before the foundations of the world were ever laid. Before anyone knew your name, I called you. Before you were born, I placed within you a divine seed, a seed that cannot grow unless it is bathed in my light. Do not live as though you are just an ordinary person. Do not accept small compromises merely to fit in, to avoid being misunderstood, or to prevent disruption. The calling upon your life was never meant to be understood by everyone. It was meant to be lived out faithfully. And there will be times when you must walk alone. There will be times when you are misjudged. There will be times when all you can see is darkness. But it is in those moments that you must remember, strength does not come from the number of people walking beside you. It comes from the one holding your hand. And I have never forsaken you, never lost my way, never grown weary of waiting for you to return. You are called to be a light in the darkest of times, not a light that shines from your own strength, but a light that radiates from me, the creator of all light. I want you to be a voice in the noise, an anchor in the chaos. But if you yourself are not anchored in me, how can you anchor others? If you are not filled with truth, then what will overflow from you when you speak? My child, do not wait until the world starts shaking to think about taking root. Plant your roots now, while there is still peace. Because it is in the quiet that true strength is formed. Quiet, yet stronger than anything. I am preparing you not just to survive, but to lead. Not with power, but with humility. Not with strategy, but with surrender. Not with the wisdom of this world, but with revelation from heaven. And in order to do that, you must learn to stand when others bow to convenience. You must learn to be silent when others raise their voices in argument. You must learn to step forward when others retreat. And I will teach you each of these, if you allow me to be the foundation of your life. Let my word be more than knowledge to you. Let it become your instrument. Every verse, every truth, every principle, let it be engraved upon your heart like spiritual weapons you carry each day. Because a time will come when what you remember will be what saves your soul. A time will come when a single word from me will be the lifeline that keeps you from falling. And if you live in that word will live in you, and you will stand unshaken amidst the fiercest trials. My beloved, the calling on your life is real. It is greater than you have imagined. It is deeper than you have ever felt, and it is more urgent than you have ever prepared for. So do not remain on the sidelines. Do not live partially. Do not keep your faith locked behind glass. Live as one who knows. I am called. I am chosen. I am sent. And let the story of your life not end in exhaustion from trying to please the world, but be written in the ink of obedience, faith, and enduring love. For I, the one who called you, I am faithful. And I will not cease writing that story until my glory is revealed through your very life. So build upon the rock. Live sincerely, walk in your calling, and you will see there is nothing more beautiful than a life deeply rooted in me, blossoming in the exact season I have appointed. My beloved child, I need you to pause for a moment. Not to retreat in fear, but to listen more clearly to my voice amidst all the noise you've been letting soak into your heart. Be still in your soul, and let my word rise like a bell ringing not from afar, but from within you, from that place where you've always known I dwell, even if you've often ignored that gentle call. I did not come to accuse you, but I cannot stay silent when I see you straying from the path of life, and I certainly will not look away when I see you trading spiritual sensitivity for surface-level peace. My beloved, grasp this deeply. Indifference to my voice always comes at a cost, not because I punish, but because every time you turn your back on the voice of truth, you inch your heart further away from the source of life. Each time you choose to trust your limited vision over the light of my guidance, you begin building a wall that separates you from what only I can give. And that cost, though it may not crash down on you immediately, though it may be veiled by things that still appear fine, is real. It is silently stealing from you the sharpness of your discernment, the rungs of faith that once lifted you higher, and the sacred ground of your inner being, where I once made my dwelling. When you trust yourself more than you trust me, over time, you detach from the spiritual reality that gives true meaning, because no one can fully trust in me while still trying to control every turn of their life. Real faith demands surrender. It requires the humility to admit, I don't know everything, but I know the one who holds everything together. But if you keep believing your reasoning is sharp enough, your instincts accurate enough, your soul will eventually be tempted to follow feeling over the leading of the Spirit. And then, what was once my unmistakable voice becomes a whisper. What once stirred holy reverence now barely register. O child, borrowing truth from the culture of this world is a sweet but deadly trap. It doesn't show up with confrontation, but with assimilation. It doesn't shout, abandon your faith, but it whispers, just adjust a little, make it more appealing, make it less offensive. You don't realize that each time you do, you begin to separate yourself from the word. Slowly, subtly, yet surely, and little by little, you will no longer hear clearly what is me, and what is just the echo of your times. You will begin to blend holiness with convenience. You will begin to select the parts of Scripture that feel good, and ignore the parts that demand the death of self. And when that happens, you'll start to treat compromise lightly. You'll call it adaptation, modernization, or openness. But my child, I do not swap light for darkness. Compromise, no matter how eloquently it is framed, is still the blade that severs you from the source of life. At first, it will feel freeing, but as the shadows begin to seep into places once filled with light, you'll no longer feel the unease of conviction, because the greatest danger is not loud rebellion. It's a heart that no longer trembles when I grieve. You will begin to call things okay that I call sin. You will start nodding at what you once stood against. You'll search for justifications where you once stood in holy defiance. And in that moment, one of the most sacred treasures of your soul will begin to fade. The tenderness to my presence. Beloved, I did not create you to grow numb to what breaks my heart. Your heart was designed to beat in sync with mine. That when I rejoice, you sense the joy, and when I mourn, you ache with me. But if you continue living in the gray zone of indecision, not severing from sin, not standing boldly for truth, it won't be long before you no longer recognize my voice. not because I stopped speaking, but because you've lost the ability to listen. I am calling you back to uncompromised holiness, not rigidity, but a life untainted by the voices of the world. I am inviting you back to the sensitivity that once made you tremble in your early prayers, when even the softest whisper from me brought tears to your eyes. I long for you to return to that place, to the place where you were willing to lay down everything, just to make sure you never lost my presence. My beloved child, do not let your heart be hardened by counterfeit wisdom. Do not allow your soul to be lulled into slumber by the illusion of safety. Ask me to cleanse your spiritual eyes so you may clearly see what is truly reigning in your heart. Ask me to shine my light so that whatever is not from me, no matter how sweet it may seem, may be exposed and cut away. My child, I still love you just as I did from the very beginning. Nothing can change that. But I will not allow you to live in shadows and still believe you're standing in the light. I will stir your spirit. I will awaken you. I will remind you that true love does not remain silent when the one it loves is walking toward destruction unaware. True love calls out. It even cries out to rescue that soul before it is too late. So today, my beloved, listen. Do not rush through the rhythm of life. Let my voice guide you back to what is pure. Let your heart be softened once again before me. And if you are willing to repent, willing to lay down what once caused you to drift, willing to live as one who has been chosen, then I promise I will restore everything. Your spiritual sensitivity will return. Holiness will be rebuilt, and you will not only be forgiven, you will be anointed again, anointed to rise, anointed to live authentically, anointed to reflect my glory in the midst of a generation blind to the truth. My beloved child, do not assume that the destruction of the soul always comes like a fierce storm. Do not think it always arrives loud, obvious, and unmistakable. No, my child. Often, decay begins quietly, gently, slowly, so subtly that you don't even realize what is being stolen. A gaze that no longer burns with passion when you look toward me. A delayed moment in reading my word. A small decision made without prayer. A seemingly harmless choice that, over time, lays a foundation for a future where I am no longer at the center. This is how souls lose what is most sacred, not through outright rebellion, but through the slow fading of what once set their hearts ablaze for me. Spiritual forgetfulness does not happen overnight. It takes place when sacred habits begin to erode under the weight of life's demands, crowded schedules, and the voice of things that seem more necessary. Gradually, what was once your priority becomes a preference, then an option, and eventually a distant memory. And your soul, though still functioning, still doing, still speaking of me, have already warned you that your life cannot be sustained apart from me. This is not merely theory. It is not some vague doctrine to be taught. It is an absolute truth. Apart from me, you can do nothing. And this is not only true in seasons of hardship. It is true every day, every hour, in every thought, every decision, every breath. So do not forget me, my beloved one. Do not call out to me only in times of crisis, then drift into forgetfulness during seasons of calm. Do not speak my name with your lips, yet live a life that reveals nothing of me. I am not seeking a confession from your mouth. I am seeking a testimony through your life, I do not wish to be one of many things you value. I long to be the foundation upon which every other part of your life is built. For if I am not the foundation, then whatever you build, no matter how solid it may appear, will one day crumble. Let the remembrance of me not reside merely in your memory, but be woven into the habits of your daily life. Let me be recognized in the way you begin your mornings, in how you respond to trials, in how you love others, and in the decisions you make. Do not reduce me to a symbol on your wall. Let me be the driving force within your heart. For I do not long to be mentioned. I long to dwell with you. My word is not just a book to be skimmed. My word is life. It is breath. It is a living reality. It is me. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Do you grasp the depth of this, my child? When you take up the Word, you are touching my very presence. When you read, you are not simply learning, you are being remade. When you listen, you are not merely receiving information, you are opening your soul for me to enter. And when you ignore it, when you live without returning to the Word, you are choosing to live apart from me. Many say they believe in me, yet live as though they don't need me each day. They think religious observance is enough. They assume that doing good is sufficient. But my child, I did not come just to make you more moral. I came that you might live, truly. Live in an unbreakable bond with me. For only in that union do you become what I originally envisioned you to be when I formed you. When you drift from my word, you are drifting from me. When you stop reading, stop meditating, stop applying, you begin to close the door between your soul and the source of eternal life. And when you cease to listen, you also cease to follow. Not because I am no longer speaking, but because you are no longer in a posture to receive. Not because I have abandoned you, but because you've allowed other voices to take the place where I once dwelled. My child, the greatest danger is not that you might fall once, but that you might live day after day unaware that you have gone astray. That drifting begins the moment you stop letting me be the primary voice. When you stop asking, Lord, what is your will? And instead say, I think this is better. When you place your personal experience, temporary emotions, and worldly reasoning on par with, or even above, my word, you are stepping off the path of destiny I wrote for you before time began. I did not assign you a trivial mission. Your destiny is not to fade quietly into the background of a lost generation. I engraved you into my eternal plan, a plan that cannot be fulfilled unless you walk in step with my leading. And to walk rightly, you must hear clearly. To hear clearly, you must stay near. And to stay near, you must love the Word, more than fine gold, more than anything you've ever longed for. Come back, my beloved, not in haste, but in sincerity. Open my Word, not out of duty, but because it is the breath that nourishes your soul. Learn again to pause each day, just to listen. Rebuild the habits you've neglected. Refresh the seemingly small things, for those are the very foundations that keep your soul from slipping in times of darkness. And when you do, I promise, I will restore what seemed lost. I will awaken what seemed dormant. I will lift you out of every shadowed place and lead you back to the radiant path of destiny that I have written specifically for your soul. A path not designed by human hands, but shaped by the hands of the Eternal One, with a love that never changes. My beloved child, so do not let what is sacred be replaced by what is convenient. Do not trade your spiritual life for temporary comfort. And above all, do not forget me. Not merely in words, but in every rhythm of your life. For when you live as if I am enough, you will discover that it is in closeness with me that you find yourself again, find your true destiny, and find the kind of life that nothing in this world can ever offer. And I, the Lord your God, will still be there, never ceasing to love you, never ceasing to speak, and never ceasing to lead you back to where you truly belong. My beloved, do not take lightly the season you are living in, and do not underestimate your significance in this moment. This is not an ordinary time. This is a season of shaking. A divine trumpet is sounding across the earth, announcing that all which man once deemed unshakable will be tested. Systems that once ruled, ideologies once praised, human-made structures to which souls have clung, all will be shaken, not because I am angry, but because I am purifying. And in this purification, only that which is built upon the eternal foundation will remain standing. Do you not see it? Things once believed to be immovable are beginning to crumble. Voices that once led a generation are falling silent. Institutions once hailed as beacons of light are now exposed as hollow shells. And this will not stop. For this is the season of revealing, the revealing of who truly belongs to me and who has only walked under my name. The revealing of what is light and what is merely darkness in disguise. The revealing of genuine faith and faith borrowed from fleeting emotion. I have warned beforehand that a day would come when everything that can be shaken will be shaken. That day is no longer far off. In truth, you are living in the very midst of it. So do not be surprised when everything around you starts to feel uncertain. Do not panic when what the world once called secure begins to crumble beneath your feet. Twisted values will be exposed. Powers built upon lies will be brought down. Truth will no longer be hidden, and falsehood will no longer have a place to stand. In that moment, people will look for shelter, and when they turn their eyes toward you, I want them to find in you an unshakable strength. My child, you will not be able to stand firm in this time if you build your life merely on feelings. Fleeting inspiration cannot sustain your heart. Sweet-sounding logic not anchored in my word will not keep you from falling. Shallow commitments and relationships not birthed in my presence will not endure the fire. And if you have not learned to live completely dependent on me, you too will feel the ground shifting beneath you when the world trembles. But this is what I say to you: those who build their lives upon my word, not just hearing but doing, not just reading but living, will not be shaken. They will not be swept away by the whirlwind of doubt, for they are not anchored to the words of men but to the living word. They will not be afraid when the economy crashes, when political walls fall, or when old powers are overturned. For their faith is not rooted in this world, but in a kingdom that can never be destroyed. Let this truth settle in your heart. I did not call you merely to survive this season. I did not bring you here so that you would live in fear, shrink back, or hide. No, my beloved, it was I who chose you for this very hour. Not by accident, not by coincidence, but with holy intention. Before the foundations of the world were laid, I saw you. I wrote your name in the book of life. I foresaw this exact moment, and I knew that you were the one I would send into the midst of the shaking. My beloved child, you may feel overwhelmed. You may feel not strong enough, not worthy enough, not wise enough. But listen to me, my child. Not because you are enough that I have chosen you, but because I have chosen you, I will make you enough. The strength you need will come from me. The wisdom you seek will flow from my spirit. The stability you long for will rise from an unbroken, intimate communion with me. You do not need to become the light. You only need to remain in the light, and that light will shine through you into the darkest of places. I did not call you to blend into the panic of the world. I called you to be a lamp in the night, a lamp not fueled by the oil of fear, but ignited by faith and my living presence. You will be a spiritual refuge for those who have lost their way. You will be an outstretched hand for the fallen. But you can only become this when you are first firmly rooted in me. So do not shrink back. Do not compromise just to make life easier. Do not silence your voice for fear of being misunderstood. Step out. Speak what I say. Live as if you truly believe this life is not the end. For it is not. It is only the beginning. And everything you do today will echo into eternity. My beloved, this season may be a time when the world is shaking, but it is also the time I have chosen to reveal my glory more powerfully than ever before. And I am looking for those, not perfect, but willing, not fearless, but those who choose to trust, not impressive in the world's eyes, but humble and yielded in mine. And if you say to me, "Here I am, Lord," I will do the rest. I will ignite the flame within you. I will give your words weight. I will make you a dwelling place for my presence, amidst a generation starving for what is true. Rise up, my child. Rebuild from the place I point you to. Live as though you carry an eternal assignment, because you do. And in the midst of all that is trembling, you yourself will become a signpost that what is built in me will never collapse. For I am the foundation. I am the cornerstone. I am the unshakable fortress. And I who have called you will not leave you standing alone. I will go before you, walk beside you, and through you the world will see. The true light has not gone out, and my unshakable kingdom is still advancing with unstoppable power. My dear one, never forget this. The light within you, the light I kindled with my very breath, can only burn bright and endure when it is sustained by the sacred nourishment of my eternal truth. Not by the applause of the crowd, not by fleeting waves of public opinion, and certainly not by shallow philosophies that sound wise but are empty at their core. You must not live by the rise and fall of your own emotions, nor let the shifting standards of man drown out the steady voice of my word. My truth is an eternal seed, unchanging, unfading, untouched by time or circumstance. And it is that truth, my word, that is the only foundation strong enough to keep you standing when the world is crumbling day by day. So, my child, let my word dwell in your heart, not as a distant memory, but as a stream flowing hour by hour. Let it weave itself into your thoughts, your decisions, your most private responses. Do not merely read my word out of duty. Meditate on it, consume it, live in it, as though you could live without air but never without my word. For my word is not mere instruction, it is life. It is fire to illuminate your path. It is light that pierces the deepest shadows of your soul. My word will not only comfort you in long, lonely nights, it will be your battle plan when the enemy surrounds you. It is the sword that severs chains, the shield that deflects flaming arrows, the anchor that holds you steady in life's storm-tossed seas. So stand firm, my beloved, not in your own strength, but in the truth that I have spoken over you. Let every breath you take remind you, you are mine, and I have placed eternity within you. The darkness may be thick, but my light within you is greater. Keep it burning, keep it fed with truth, and know this with certainty. What I have begun in you, I will carry to completion, for my glory, for your good, and for the redemption of a world that still desperately needs the light. Do not let my words lie dormant like a sacred display, never to be touched. Do not leave them sitting on paper while your heart withers away day by day. My word was never spoken to impress. It was spoken to rescue. It was not given to offer momentary inspiration, but to reshape your destiny forever. My word will become the pillar of your soul when everything you once leaned on begins to crumble. It will be your lighthouse when you are lost in a sea of uncertainty. It will remind you of your true identity when the world tries to label you with names that do not belong to you. My beloved, when you allow my word to be your standard, not your shifting emotions, not your ever-changing circumstances, not people's reactions, then you will live in a freedom that no one can steal. You will not be dragged around by panic, fear, or loneliness, because you will know you belong to me, and I do not speak in vain. And in the darkest moments, it is my word that will call out from the void, awakening your spirit like a trumpet sounding on the holy mountain. When your heart is in turmoil, when the world turns its back on you, when friends walk away, when your faith is tested to its core, it is my word that will remind you that you are still loved, that you are still being led, that there is a greater plan unfolding, even when your eyes cannot yet see it. My word does not merely bring answers, it brings me. And when you have me, you have everything. Nothing missing. Nothing uncertain. No need to search elsewhere. Do you know why a lamp could burn through the night in the temple? Not because it was placed in a sacred space, but because it was filled with oil every day. My word is the oil for your lamp. Receive it every morning. Lean on it as the day fades. Hold on to it when night falls. And then you will see, even if the world goes dark, you will shine like an unquenchable flame. Not because you are strong, but because you live in an unshakable truth. My beloved child, when you step into a battle you didn't expect, when you face words that wound, temptations wrapped in sweetness, or the silent weariness of the soul, open your mouth and let my word rise. Speak my word like breath. Grasp it like a soldier holds his sword in the dark. Live as if nothing matters more than keeping my word at the very center of your heart, because it is that very word that will keep you from being consumed by fire. It will carry you through the storm without breaking. It will help you hear my voice among the thousands of counterfeit sounds surrounding you. You will realize that I am not only speaking to you, but walking with you, fighting beside you, guiding your every step. Mark this deeply, my child. My word never returns void. Every time you receive it in faith, It plants an eternal seed within your soul, and in due time, in the right season, it will bear fruit, the fruit of unshakable peace, unwavering faith, and strength that does not run dry. Let my word be the wellspring within you that never dries up. Let it be your lifeblood, the voice that rings louder than all others. And then, in the midst of a generation lost and thirsty, you will become a stream, a living sign that my word is still alive, still active, still transforming everything. You don't need more noise to fill your time. You don't need more outward appearances to mask the emptiness within. You don't need more entertainment to numb the weariness in your soul. What you truly need, and deep down you already know it, is me. What you need is my truth, my unshakable presence, my unchanging love, and my light that never fades. You were not created to live off the applause of the crowd or to depend on the fleeting praise of people. No matter how eloquent, human compliments cannot heal the deepest fractures within your soul. Only I, the one who formed you with my own hands, the one who breathed life into your being, can give you unwavering acceptance, eternal recognition, and a value that no one can take away. Do not seek validation from those who themselves are wandering. Seek me, for I do not change my mind, and I loved you long before you ever did anything to earn it. You are living in a time when the real hunger is not for food, but for meaning, for truth, for that which does not perish. And I see that, deep within your soul, there is a hollow space that the world cannot fill, no matter how many things you try to use to patch it. I see your weariness. I see how you try to appear strong, how you keep yourself busy to forget the questions that have no answers, how you blend into the crowd to avoid the ache of loneliness. But my dear child, no earthly means can heal what is sacred. No surface remedy can quench the thirst of a soul. I long to be the living water you drink each morning. I long for you to return to me, not out of duty, but because a holy hunger has awakened in your heart, a thirst for righteousness, for truth, and for eternity. I am waiting to renew your soul. But for me to fill you, you must be willing to empty yourself. You must make room. I cannot pour into a vessel already full of things that did not come from me. You cannot invite me in while your heart is still overflowing with things I cannot dwell with. Let me help you lay down each burden, the expectations of others, the pressure to appear strong, the dreams that were never truly yours, but that you've chased anyway. Pour them out. Let them fall from your heart, like dry leaves drifting from a tree at the end of autumn. And then, when nothing stands in the way, you will see me enter in gentleness, yet with power, in silence, yet clothed in glory. My child, blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled, not with food that perishes, but with life that comes from heaven, not with temporary comforts, but with a presence so deep no one can take it from you. When you hunger for me with sincerity, I will never let you leave empty. I will pour upon you water that never runs dry. I will refresh the barren lands of your soul, those places that have been wounded, neglected, or frozen by disappointment. I will bring healing to the shattered fragments of your heart. I will make you live again, not just survive, but thrive, in fullness, in joy that is not bound by circumstances. But before this can happen, you must learn to desire me more than anything else. I will not compete for first place in your heart. I am a God who longs for the wholeness of love. I will not be satisfied with half-hearted affection, leftover time, or worship that is mere formality. I want your heart fully, undivided. I want you to return to me, not because of fear, but because of love. Not because you have to, but because you long to. Not from obligation, but from gratitude. Is the following title grammatically and contextually correct? Lord, I renounce the spirit of fear that I have worn beneath the cloak of responsibility and wisdom. Restore within me a spirit of power, love, and sound mind. Teach me to live by faith, not by anxiety. Remind me that you are my fortress, my refuge, and the one who holds every outcome. So I don't need to control what is already in your hands. Lord, I renounce a half-hearted faith, a faith that only clings to you in desperation. Today I ask you to restore within me a wholehearted trust, a faith that stands firm in silence, a faith that remains loyal even in the absence of instant miracles. Please restore in me the childlike simplicity, the holy fear, and the unwavering confidence in you, even when I cannot see what lies ahead. Lord, I do not desire a superficial relationship with you. I do not want to merely know of you through books, through others, or through religious gatherings. I want you. I long to know you, to touch you, and to walk with you each day. Draw me into the secret place. Rewrite your covenant upon my heart. Teach me how to remain, not just to visit, your presence. Lord, today I recommit my soul into your hands. I surrender the parts of me I've hidden away. I open every door within my heart, holding nothing back. I renounce delay. I renounce compromise. I choose you as my treasure, my goal, my dwelling place. Pour fresh oil upon my life and make me a radiant light in this darkened age. Lord, I thank you for not abandoning me when I had forgotten you. I thank you for the enduring patience of your love, for the gentle whispers when I was lost, and for the light that continued to shine when my heart was dim. Even in my distraction, you remained faithful. Even in my wandering, you waited. Thank you that it was your kindness that led me to repentance. I thank you that your word is not merely ink on paper, it is spirit and life. Thank you that your word corrects me, lifts me, cleanses me, and guides me step by step. Thank you for giving me powerful weapons in spiritual battles, light in the midst of darkness, and a firm foundation in a world that is being shaken. I choose your word as the eternal compass of my soul. I offer this prayer in the holy name of Jesus Christ. Amen. If you love the Lord, don't forget to press the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you won't miss any of the life-giving messages from Him. Together, we will grow in faith and live a life fully anchored in His love. Amen.